She was the queen of rock and roll, a woman whose voice could shake stadiums and whose story inspired millions. But behind the unstoppable energy of Tina Turner lay a lifetime of scars, abandonment, abuse, illness, and unbearable loss. And even at 84, when the world thought she had found peace, tragedy followed her to the very end. In this video, we'll uncover the tragedies you never fully knew about Tina Turner, the private struggles, the painful illnesses, and the final heartbreak that ended her life too soon. Tina Turner's life began far away from the world of flashing lights and roaring crowds. Born Anna Mae Bullock on November 26, 1939, in the small rural town of Nutbush, Tennessee, she came into the world during the Great Depression in a family of sharecroppers. Her childhood was marked not by music, but by hardship. Her father, Floyd Bullock, was known as a strict disciplinarian, while her mother, Zelma, was distant. When Tina was still a child, her parents' marriage collapsed, and both abandoned her. She and her sister were sent to live with their grandmother. The wounds of that abandonment left scars that Tina carried for the rest of her life. But out of hardship came resilience. She began singing in the church choir, where her voice stood out with an energy and power that astonished everyone who heard it. By her teens, she had reunited with her mother in St. Louis, Missouri. It was there, in the smoky nightclubs of East St. Louis, that destiny struck. In 1957, she encountered Ike Turner and his band, the Kings of Rhythm. Ike was captivated by her raw energy. Soon, Anna Mae Bullock became Tina Turner, a stage persona Ike created for her. Together, they became a force in rhythm and blues, scoring early hits like A Fool in Love and eventually breaking into the mainstream with the iconic Proud Mary. Ike and Tina Turner were electrifying, Ike on guitar and band leadership, Tina as the fiery, unstoppable performer who seemed to pour every ounce of herself into each performance. By the 1970s, Tina had become a household name. She was admired not only for her voice, but for her stage presence, wild dance moves, short skirts, endless legs, and raw charisma that set her apart from her peers. She redefined what it meant to be a woman in rock music, powerful, unapologetic, commanding. But beneath the applause and accolades, her personal life was crumbling into darkness. The world saw Tina Turner as a fearless queen, but behind closed doors, she lived a nightmare. Her marriage to Ike Turner was one of the most infamous abusive relationships in music history. What seemed like a glamorous partnership on stage was, in truth, a prison of violence, humiliation, and control. Ike, a talented musician but deeply troubled man, exerted total dominance over Tina. He managed the band, their money, and most painfully, her life. He subjected her to constant physical beatings, emotional manipulation, and financial control. Tina later revealed that she endured countless assaults, often performing on stage with bruises hidden beneath makeup. She described nights of terror where fear was her constant companion. She once attempted suicide, overdosing on pills, simply to escape the suffocating hell she lived in. Yet somehow, Tina found the courage to leave. In 1976, after one particularly violent altercation, she fled Ike with only 36 cents and a gas station credit card in her pocket. The divorce finalized in 1978, but in order to gain her freedom, she forfeited everything: homes, money, cars, and rights to their joint recordings. All she kept was her stage name, Tina Turner. She was nearly 40 years old, penniless, and thought by many to be finished. But she refused to quit. Her comeback in the 1980s was nothing short of miraculous. With the 1984 album Private Dancer and the hit single What's Love Got to Do With It, Tina Turner reclaimed her throne, this time as a solo legend. She won multiple Grammys, sold millions of albums, and filled stadiums around the world. Her raspy voice and unstoppable energy made her the queen of rock and roll. To the public, it looked like a fairy tale rebirth. But Tina never forgot the scars of her past. She carried the trauma of abuse and abandonment silently, even as she smiled before millions. Then came the tragedies no parent should endure. In 2018, Tina's eldest son, Craig, whom she had at age 18 before meeting Ike, died by suicide. He was 59 years old. Tina, heartbroken, said it was the saddest moment of her life. She scattered his ashes on the California coast, whispering a final goodbye. 4 years later, in 2022, another son, Ronnie, died of colon cancer at just 62. Tina, already frail and ill, mourned another devastating loss. Outliving 2 children was a pain that overshadowed all her professional triumphs. By this time, her health was in steep decline. In 2013, Tina suffered a stroke, leaving her temporarily unable to walk. She had to relearn how to stand and move again, a humbling ordeal for a woman once famed for her boundless energy on stage. Just 3 years later, in 2016, she was diagnosed with colon cancer. As if that were not enough, her kidneys began to fail, putting her life at grave risk. In one of the most moving chapters of her life, her husband, Erwin Bach, whom she married in 2013 after nearly 3 decades together, donated one of his kidneys to save her. In 2017, she underwent a kidney transplant. Though the operation prolonged her life, she never fully recovered her former strength. Tina lived in constant pain and frailty, often confined to her lakeside home in Switzerland. For someone who had once electrified audiences with tireless movement, the stillness of her final years was heartbreaking. Yet even in illness, Tina showed dignity. She spoke openly about her health struggles, advocating for awareness of kidney disease and colon cancer. She admitted she once contemplated assisted suicide through Switzerland's Dignitas program, but Erwin's sacrifice gave her hope. She called him her true gift of life. This love, late in life, was her sanctuary against the storm. Still, tragedy stalked her. The deaths of her sons, the toll of her illnesses, and the fading of her once unshakable vitality left her final years shadowed by sorrow. She had conquered abuse, reinvented herself as a global superstar, and inspired millions. Yet she faced her last battles not on stage, but in hospital rooms and silent moments of grief. On May 24, 2023, Tina Turner died at her home in Küsnacht, Switzerland. She was 83 years old, just months shy of 84. The official cause was complications from a long illness, related to kidney disease and other health problems. News of her passing spread instantly, and the world mourned. Fans placed flowers outside her villa. Global leaders, musicians, and ordinary people paid tribute to a woman who had not only made music history, but had also embodied resilience in the face of tragedy. Her death was described as the end of an era. Tina Turner had not performed for years, but her influence never faded. Artists like Beyoncé, Mick Jagger, and Mary J. Blige cited her as an inspiration. Younger generations discovered her through biopics and Broadway musicals like Tina, the Tina Turner musical. To millions, she was more than a singer. She was proof that survival was possible, even after unimaginable suffering. But in truth, Tina's end was bittersweet. She had built a new life in Switzerland, far from the United States where her career began. She had converted to Buddhism, finding peace in meditation and spirituality. She had found love with Erwin Bach, who stood by her through her illnesses. Yet she also endured the unbearable heartbreak of burying 2 sons and spending her last years fighting disease. For all her fame and fortune, her final chapter was marked by loneliness, pain, and loss. Tina Turner's legacy, however, cannot be measured only by her tragedies. She sold more than 100 million records, won 12 Grammy Awards, and was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice, first with Ike in 1991 and again solo in 2021. She was the first black woman to appear on the cover of Rolling Stone and was ranked among the greatest singers of all time. She shattered barriers of race, gender, and age, showing that women, especially black women, could command the rock stage with as much fire as any man. Yet perhaps her greatest contribution was not musical but personal. She became a symbol of resilience for survivors of domestic abuse, proving that it was possible to leave, rebuild, and rise again. Her autobiography and the film What's Love Got to Do with It opened conversations about abuse at a time when silence was the norm. She gave voice to millions of women trapped in similar situations, reminding them they were not alone. Her story is tragic, yes, but it is also triumphant. Tina Turner endured abandonment, abuse, divorce, financial ruin, health crises, and the deaths of her children. And yet she never stopped singing, never stopped moving forward, and never stopped shining. Her death at 83 may feel too soon, but her life was a symphony of survival, lived on her own terms. In her final interviews, Tina often spoke of peace. She said she no longer needed the spotlight. She wanted quiet, love, and acceptance. She had earned it. And though she left us with a heavy heart, she also left us with music, inspiration, and the reminder that pain does not define us. What we do after pain does. Tina Turner's tragedy ended her life too soon, but her spirit lives forever. She remains simply the best.